Today we're going to be talking about a stock that has gone up over 180% in the last year, and that is none other than Nvidia. The company is set to announce their earnings on August 28th, and investors have high hopes for another top and bottom line beat. So in this video, we will take a look at analyst expectations for Nvidia's earnings, as well as some clues from previous earnings announcements that could give us insight to what Nvidia is going to announce. So if you enjoy the video, drop a like down below, and if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure to subscribe. As I mentioned, in the last 12 months, Nvidia has gone up 187.7%. And year to date, this stock has performed amazingly. It is up 158.6%. And this has been driven by continued outperformance on their earnings. Over the last 4 quarters, Nvidia has seen incredible top-line revenue growth. Their revenue grew 101% year over year, then 205% year over year, then 265% year over year, and in their most recent quarter, their revenue grew 262% year over year. This has brought their top line revenue numbers for the trailing 12-month period to $79.7 billion. And because Nvidia's products are high margin products, we have seen their bottom line grow at a very fast pace as well. Prior to the last 4 quarters, they had a trailing 12-month EPS of 20 cents. Then they put up 4 straight quarters of very high growth. They saw 25 cents in a single quarter, followed by 37 cents in a single quarter, then 49 cents in a single quarter, and then 60 cents in their most recent quarter. This has brought their trailing 12-month EPS to $1.71. One thing you'll notice right off the bat from Nvidia is this will be the first quarter where they will be comping against much more difficult numbers. This time last year, they put up revenue of $13.5 billion. We could still see 100% growth year over year because last quarter they put up $26.04 billion. However, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to put up these 200% growth numbers year over year. And right now, analysts have Nvidia growing their top line by around 110% year over year, with their expectations for this upcoming announcement sitting at $28.5 billion of revenue. For EPS, they're expecting it to come in at 64 cents of earnings. And again, this announcement is going to be on August 28th. But one thing to be aware of is how analysts have adjusted their estimates for this company over time. Because if we look back in July of 2023, they were beating EPS estimates by almost 30% and beating revenue estimates by almost 22%. That went down to 19% and 13%, then 11.5% and 7.5%. And in their most recent quarter, they only beat by around 10% on the bottom line and 6% on the top line. So analysts are getting a lot more adjusted to where Nvidia is coming in at in terms of their EPS and revenue numbers. So I would expect beats this quarter to be in the 5% range on both the top and bottom line numbers. And estimates on Yahoo Finance actually come in even lower than what we saw on Google. The average EPS estimate is only 58 cents. Again, this is still incredible growth year over year from 25 cents a year ago. However, revenue is actually surprisingly low. They're expecting Nvidia to put up only $25.86 billion of revenue. The high estimate is $27.6 billion with a low estimate of $24.3 billion. For me personally, I think that Nvidia is going to come through with solid numbers on both their top and bottom lines. I think that it's going to be better than what Yahoo Finance is expecting, and they're going to come through with beats of around 5% on both their numbers. This doesn't necessarily mean that the stock is going to go up after those earnings. We'll discuss that a little bit later. However, a lot of the reason for me believing that this stock is going to come through with very solid numbers has to do with what we have seen from cloud numbers across the major players so far. And cloud as a worldwide market is expected to grow significantly over the next 5 years. In 2024, it's expected to come through with a revenue of $773.3 billion. And by 2029, that is expected to grow to $1.8 trillion. And a lot of Nvidia's services are helping build out companies' cloud infrastructure. This is companies like AWS, who owns 31% market share in the cloud business, Azure by Microsoft, which is 25% market share, Google, which is 11% market share, and then Alibaba Cloud, which is 4% market share. And all 4 of these top players in cloud have already announced their earnings. So we can draw on these numbers to see see where Nvidia could potentially come in at. And for example, Amazon actually grew their cloud revenue by 19% year over year. This topped analyst expectations for the company. It's a very similar story for Microsoft's cloud business. They grew their revenue for their intelligent cloud segment by 19% year over year to $28.5 billion. Google actually grew their cloud business by 25 to 30%. In 2023, they put up $8.031 billion of cloud revenue. That actually grew to $10.347 billion of cloud revenue in 2024. When you look at Alibaba's cloud revenue, it only grew by 6% year over year. However, if you look a little bit deeper, their AI-related product revenue grew by triple digits year over year. So they're seeing a lot of AI hype, even in China, where the economy has been relatively weak. For me personally, I think that Nvidia is going to come through with numbers between 65 cents and 70 cents for EPS, and then around $27 to $29 billion of revenue. I think that those numbers are reasonable for Nvidia to hit, especially with the solid cloud earnings that we have seen from all the major players in that industry. I think looking forward, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to grow for Nvidia just because of the amount of growth that they have seen in such a short period of time. And specifically, I'm looking at their 2026 numbers. The average EPS estimate is $3.41. This would be up from $2.47 that is expected for this year. Personally, I think that the $2.47 is reasonable for analysts to expect for this year. However, $3.41 I think is going to be a little bit more difficult for Nvidia to hit. This is going to be them continuing very high growth numbers of around 30 to 40% year over year. And I think that's just going to be a little difficult for Nvidia to do, especially if we see any sort of slowdown in the economy. I mentioned earlier that Nvidia could beat on the top and bottom line. However, the stock price could still have difficulty going up. And the reason for that has to do with valuations. Valuations for the Magnificent Seven are currently sitting at an average forward P ratio of 35. The S&P 500 is sitting at an average PE ratio of 15.5. And this difference gets even more severe when you look at Nvidia. Nvidia's forward P ratio is sitting at a 47.62. Keep in mind that companies that grow at a higher rate command higher valuations. However, if we start to see Nvidia's growth slow down, especially in a significant manner, that could lead to lower valuations for the stock and ultimately the stock price either falling or trading sideways. So for me personally, I don't make trades around earnings. I like to watch them and see if anything has fundamentally changed with the business. For Nvidia, I don't think this will be a quarter where we'll see any substantial moves either up or down. I think it's going to be a relatively business-like quarter. We saw other companies put up very nice cloud revenue numbers, and I think that's going to be good for Nvidia, but I don't think we're going to see them continue this 200% growth that we've seen over the last couple of quarters. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on what you think Nvidia is going to do running into earnings and after the earnings come out. Are you doing any trades on the stock? Are you trading options around Nvidia? Let me know down in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below, and if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure to subscribe. As always, do not buy something just because I talked about it here on YouTube, but I look to see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video, again, drop a like down below and have a wonderful rest of your day. And for the joke of the day, what should you do if your puppy isn't feeling well? Check the comments down below for the answer. Thanks for watching.